Good afternoon. I'm Laura Shumaker, and I'm an associate degree RN nursing student at Hawking College. I'm here today to discuss with you the dangers of texting and driving. In our society, we have become attached to our cell phones. They make our lives easier in many ways. One of the main features that's changed the way we communicate almost completely is text messaging. Text messaging allows us to communicate with others anytime we want to. We don't have to worry about whether we're interrupting them in their day because they can text whenever they feel like it. If you don't feel like talking, you don't have to. You can have an entire conversation with somebody without actually verbalizing a single word. You're just texting it all out. Texting has become an everyday routine. Research shows that most people don't even turn their cell phones off anymore. In fact, most teens, when they were questioned about their texting routines, admit to just turning their phone to vibrate. They put their phone on vibrate, leave it next to them, put it under their pillow, so they're sleeping with their phone. That way, if they get a text in the middle of the night, they can answer it and don't have to worry about missing it. We have become so addicted to texting that we feel the need to text everywhere and whenever, including while we're driving. When we text, we actually remove our attention from the road where it should be and put ourselves at risk. We actually become a major risk for accidents and injuries to ourselves as well as others. To be a safe driver, we really need to pay attention to the street, keep our hands on the wheel to control the movements of the car. When we text, we actually remove all of our attentions from the road. We become a major risk. For every 6 seconds of driving, a texter removes their eyes from the road for 4.6 seconds. It's a really long time if you think about it. Texting and driving has become an epidemic for people of all ages, but mostly teens. Teens tend to think, it's just one message. I only have one message, I can do it. They don't think about the consequences. They don't realize the amount of time they spend with their eyes off the road. In one study, a teen driving 55 miles an hour actually traveled the length of a football field plus both end zones without ever looking at the road. You realize how long a football field and the end zones are? That's 120 yards, 360 feet. Can you imagine the number of things that come into your pathway for that distance with you not looking at the road? Child riding his bike, doesn't look, runs out in the road, you're going to hit him. Ball rolls out in the road, a kid comes after it, you don't see it. Car stops at a traffic light, you're not going to see it, you're going to hit him. In research done at East Virginia Medical School, 21 teens between the ages of 16 and 18 took part in a simulated driving experience. In this experience, they were texting while they were driving and they were put in different scenarios. Many of them were steering their vehicles erratically, weaving in and out of lanes, running over virtual people. Luckily, it was only a virtual experiment and the people were not real. Texting forces them to take their eyes off the road. Not only does it force them to take their eyes off the road, but it causes them to move their fingers around too. It's an addiction. Mistakes including slowing down dramatically and weaving more than a foot outside of their lanes was also problems that they picked up in this study. When texting while driving, you're a hazardous driver to yourself and everybody else. You know, kids say they just can't help it. They pretty much have to do it. It's an everyday part of life. They have to text all day long, even while they're driving. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration showed that in 2008 alone, nearly 100,000 teens were killed annually, and more than 500,000 were injured in crashes involving distracted drivers. In post-accident interviews, texters often can't recall going through stop signs or traffic lights because they were involved in looking down at their cell phones. One teen said, "While you're doing everything else, you're texting. You just don't think about it. You do it while you're driving, and you just don't even realize you're doing it. My question to you is, how would you like to not have your cell phone anymore? How would you like to sit in jail all day and just think about texting because you actually took someone's life because you were texting? It doesn't just affect your life. Here's another thought for you. You're driving home from the store, you're texting your friend, you're having a great time. The next thing you know, you're waking up in the hospital. You got serious injuries covering your body. Your family's at your bedside crying. Was that text really worth it? Texting is now ranked at the top of the list with DUIs. That's really scary. I mean, DUIs and texting. Who'd have thought they were in the same category? Right now, currently, there's 31 states banning text on driving. That's a step in the right direction. We got on this chart here the average number of calls made and received and the number of messages that were sent. Back in 2007, it used to be 255 phone calls were received, 435 were sent. This is your average teenager. Last year, 191 phone calls, 2,899 texts. We're becoming a society where people don't talk to each other anymore. They text it out. It's kind of scary to think about what kind of communication skills people are going to have as they get older. We're going to be a society where people just aren't going to talk to each other. Texting while driving, you're about 6 times more likely to cause an accident than a drunk driver or than intoxication. Texting slows your reaction time to that of a 70-year-old. Texting and driving accounts for 80%, 5,870 deaths of all crashes in the United States annually. Texting while driving increases the time your rides are off the road by 400%. Texting while driving impairs you more than drinking and driving. And teens are 4 times as likely to get into a crash due to texting than adults. You know, it's really hard to think just how much of an impact texting has. If you get online and you look at some of the research and stuff, you're going to see the stories of parents that lost their children needlessly to texting accidents. Many at their own hand, but some, you know, were the victims of a texter. It's not worth it. So in closing, let me leave you with one last thought. No text message is worth your life, your friend's life, another driver, or a pedestrian. The numbers don't lie. You can make a change. If you don't text and drive, you're setting an example for others. Don't become another number. Make your car a no-phone zone and encourage your friends to do the same. You could be saving your life and the life of someone else. I'm also going to have you take a pledge, and it's Oprah Winfrey's pushing this pledge, and it's a no-phone zone. And it's a pledge that you agree to not text and to not use your phone while you're in your vehicle. Or you're not going to text, but if you have to communicate with somebody, you're only going to use hands-free communication. Or your third option is you're not going to use your texting and you're not going to communicate with anybody, but if you absolutely must, you're going to pull your car over to the side of the road in a safe spot and make your phone call then. I'd like to thank you for coming and have a great day.